morning. Good morning. It's nice to say good morning. Good morning to you. Where's that from?
The morning. It is from the morning. I don't know. I don't know. I know it though.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the alarm clock that was gifted to my brother one year. It was a firehouse dog. It was, the white and black Dalmatian or whatever. It had a red hat.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing was the most annoying alarm that we had ever encountered in our entire life.
You mean you should have always been using it and still be using it now, probably?
Probably so. I'm trying to remember exactly what it did, but I think it had ears that flapped too, as it was singing.
And so it made that mechanical flapping noise?
Yeah, on top of the already loud and obnoxious thing.
So was it a dog saying good morning? What did it sound like? Or did it sing a song?
I think it sang a song.
Huh.
It could have been that song.
Was the dog barking along in beat with the song?
These are all things I don't remember anymore. It's just hidden within the recesses of my brain.
Well, we should do a regression hypnosis so you can go back and retrieve some of these memories.
I like it. Casey says she thinks it's from Singing in the Rain.
Oh, I don't know that I've ever seen that musical.
Nor I.
I know the song, though. Singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. It's not raining outside, but there you go.
It did, 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. This is What the Hell is Water. Today is Tuesday, May 17th, and it is...
Episode...
100! Oh, man. 100 episodes, Danielle.
Crazy.
Do you remember?
Although, it's much easier to wrap your head around when you think about every weekday kind of show.
Yeah. But as I was making the description, I was looking, I was like, oh, how long did this take? And, it's worth noting that we took probably a 2-month break, roughly, before coming back for season 2. So
an extended spring break, if you will.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say?
It's 2 months. It's a summer, Oh, we had our summer, and then now we're back.
I like it. Yeah. So the time, because I calculated it, 232 days since the beginning, which is 33.14 weeks. I'll just drop the decimals. 33 weeks.
Okay.
7.5 months. 0.64 years. That's episode 0 was aired on September 27th. So
yesterday was our 100th episode, but today is episode 100.
Yeah, that's the fun thing about being a nerd and starting from 0.
I mean, episode 0 is just, it didn't count. Yeah.
Okay. I'll make sure to tell episode 0 you thought that about it.
Yep.
It's funny, though, because I clicked on episode 0, and the notes on it were, everything takes longer than expected. And the magic of being human is manifesting our intentions into reality.
I remember liking that quote. I should tweet that.
And then the description of the episode was an introduction to entrepreneurship, fart art, and how to use your failures to propel your life forward. So I thought it was a suitable episode.
We just heard that quote about failures aren't failures. You've just figured out all the ways that it won't work, or it's the path to success. There were 2 different quotes from, I think one is a Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Edison type person. The one that's I've just figured out all the ways it won't work. And then we saw a quote in a show that was basically also putting a positive spin on failure. So that's cool.
What
The
show was
episode
that
0.
one? Do you know?
I forget. The quote was something about they're like tiny successes or something. It's like they're not failures. They're ways to success, or I don't know. I forget. They may have been.
Thank you for this enlightenment.
Yep, there you go.
You know, the only time...
Obscure encouragement.
The best time to fail is when trying to describe a quote on failure. So
There you go.
Well done.
I have not failed at describing failure. I have just figured out all the ways I don't wish to describe failure in the future.
I like it.
I no longer describe failure.
Well, I think we've had a meandering enough intro. Maybe we should recap yesterday and then roll the video intro. So
Sure.
Yesterday was episode 99, which, as you may have heard, was technically our 100th episode because we started counting at 0 because I'm a nerd.
Numbers.
And so yesterday was I want to talk about me time.
I want to talk about you can't. It's been playing in my head all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
This morning.
Along with can I interest you in everything all of the time? A little bit of everything all of the time. Something.
Apathy is a tragedy.
There you go.
And something is.
So I don't know very many of the words. It's just everything all of the time, over and over and over and over. Since you played it for me last night. Thank you.
You're welcome for getting that stuck in your head. And for those who are curious, that is
Bo Burnham.
Bo Burnham. Welcome
Inside?
to the internet from his Inside special. We'll share a link to that in a chat here. I slacked it to you.
Did they ever make Outside available to watch? Because I think he was releasing it in theaters at some point. And
Outside?
then, yeah, that's something else for our watch list. I mean, we already added the 30 movies from last week.
I had not heard about Outside. That's, when I'm Googling Bo Burnham.
Mm-hmm.
One of the suggested Google questions is people also ask, where's Bo Burnham now in 2021? Did Bo Burnham shoot himself?
Oh gosh.
The answer is how Bo Burnham shot his special. So technically he shot himself.
Oh man.
Oh, but yeah, of course Bo Burnham does have some dark themes, so it's interesting to have a nice dark question.
He probably submitted that one himself.
Yeah, I've not heard about the Outside. Is that for sure something that you've heard of?
Yeah, I remember they were selling tickets to select movie theaters, and it was just going to be a 1-day event. So maybe it was really an exclusive 1-day event that they didn't film and put out there.
I don't know.
But I remember seeing, I don't think I dreamed it. There you go.
I don't know. Yeah, I see a meme on Reddit, but that's all I've seen so far. And, it was a joke where it was here's one comment from somebody. In this thrilling sequel to his wildly popular special Inside, Burnham wanders around in the woods for half an hour, then falls in a river.
No, that's definitely not what I saw. I think it was a legit ticket sale. Well, anyways.
Okay. Well.
Anyways.
As we were recapping before we got distracted, Bo Burnham Inside is a cool Netflix special. You guys should check it out. And that song, "Welcome to the Internet," is one of the songs.
It's dark and funny.
And it's about the craziness of the internet, and
quarantine.
I
was talking about the whole.
Yeah, the song itself is not really about quarantine, but
the movie.
The movie Inside, Bo Burnham, filmed and did the effects and editing and stuff for himself. I don't know if he had some help on it or he did it all by himself, but if it wasn't all by himself, it was largely by himself. And he does it all within this one studio house or apartment or whatever thing that he just lived in for months and months, and you can see his beard get all long and scraggly from his times in there. Basically subjected himself to his own psychological experiment, which is interesting. So episode 99, which was yesterday, we talked about me time and the importance of me time and why people should have it.
No, not should. You got to stop shoulding.
Can't should yourself, right?
Or others. Don't shit on yourself or others.
Why it is beneficial to have me time. How's that?
There you go. Why we encourage everyone not to think it's selfish. It's necessary for yourself.
Nice.
There you go.
I like it. Are there any notes or points from yesterday that jump out at you or pop into your head? Whoopsie-doo.
Yep. Just that. My brain is just one big jumbled mess of whoopsie-doo.
Yeah, so we talked about a couple of analogies. One was the classic airplane oxygen mask. You should put the oxygen mask on yourself before others. Another one was you were talking about making sure that your cup is full, and you know, if it gets so full that it's overflowing, then people can quote unquote take from you or receive energy or whatever from you without it affecting you and taking you down. Whereas a lot of people just give and never recharge themselves, and therefore they are in effect hurting themselves or losing parts of themselves, I think, however you want to kind of interpret that. And then one kind of combination analogy I came up with yesterday was, you know, the little, it's kind of like the Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, but it's like a little, I don't know, bowling pin almost shaped thing where you like kind of push it over and it always stands right back up, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking of that like having water in the base, and that's kind of like what makes it kind of come back up, because there's the weight in the bottom. And so you push it and it knocks back over. And I was like, well, if you have more water inside of that thing, it wouldn't move as much whenever you push it.
Stable.
More stable. And it would also be quicker to come back to normal. So take that or leave it. That's another little analogy about the importance of, you know, making sure that you yourself are staying centered and recharged. And another thing, it helps you better deflect and not be hurt or take things personal if you are in a more stable and confident and recharged state of mind versus if you're frazzled and you're stressed and all that kind of stuff. Little things are a little more likely to get you triggered and get you upset. One example of this is, you know, just walking around the house or whatnot. Those times where you like accidentally like bump your elbow against something or you stub your toe or whatever. It's interesting to see on days or weeks where like things aren't going so great. It's like, oh, everything's going wrong for me, and it's like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, and then I drop this and I spilled my coffee and all that kind of stuff. Versus on the days where you're bubbling and you're doing great and you're having an amazing time, like you just don't even notice those things. Like they're not as big of a deal. But if you're kind of empty, your cup's not so full, they can feel like end of the world things. But anyways, so there's a couple of those analogies we had from yesterday, and an additional one. Talked a little bit about journaling and imposter syndrome, and talked about what our specific me times were. And then also talked about the benefit of having a sleep schedule.
What's that like?
Boop. I know, right? And then, I think that's... And our challenge for yesterday was to either take some me time or at very least schedule some me time. So there we go. Now
Did you do your me time?
Did I do my me time yesterday? That's a good question. Yes and no. Yes and no. And I'll get a little more into that after our break. Our intro, rather. Here you go. Nope, wrong button. Helpful for life. And welcome back to What the Hell is Water. I'm Reed Garcia, founder and CEO of Helpful for Life.
And I'm Danielle Garcia of DanielleMGarcia.com.
Yes. And today, as we said earlier, is May 17th, 2021. 22. Did I say 21 earlier?
I don't know. I
And
didn't even catch
it's
that.
officially episode 100. All right. So today with episode 100, we're going to keep it pretty loosey-goosey. And there's a couple of main things I wanted us to talk about. One, I want to talk about gratitude. I also want to talk about celebration. And then we want to talk about some of the fun activities that we have planned for today. And then also, I think maybe do a little bit of reflecting on some of the what the hell is the water stuff. See if we can scrounge up a couple of fun memories or episodes or whatnot.
Cool.
Something that we've talked about doing for a long time, so I figured why not just force it. So we'll be very laid back today, very loosey-goosey, and who knows where we'll go. Classic us tangents and side conversations. And
well, if we're being loosey-goosey, I should have made this a hot toddy instead of just chai tea.
Yeah, so I have this nice mug here by New Belgium, but unfortunately I need to drink it left-handed for it to say the fun thing, which on the side it says beer probably. Mm-hmm. And today this is just coffee, but yeah, maybe we should have put some whiskey in here. So, Danielle, when it comes to gratitude,
mm-hmm.
what pops to your head? What do you
gratitude
think about gratitude?
Journaling? Because it was actually I've just been reading back over these journals this week as I digitize them and add snippets to my novel. It was like the first time I was doing morning pages, which is the journaling practice I just started in this workshop I'm going through, this 12-week thing. And I had what I called my DMG journaling method, where the first thing I would do was write down my dreams. And then the second thing was M, so morning pages. And then that's like the 3 pages of brain dump. And then I would end with gratitude. And I had a section in that journal saying Reed told me that a bunch of negative thoughts probably come up during the morning pages, since it's just like a, cathartic brain dump. And so you should end with So you could think about ending with a gratitude journaling practice to then begin your day after you've cleared out all the crap, and then 2 or 3 gratitude, things you're grateful for, specific.
Yeah.
Not just not just Lincoln. I would say, oh, I was so grateful for how well Lincoln did on that hike in the RV or whatever. And then there was one day that I was grateful for you pouring us bourbons after we drove from wherever we were going at that time, and we had some deep conversation in the car, and then you poured us shots of bourbon when we got to the place. And that was one of my gratitude notes for the day. So there you go. That's what I think of when I think of gratitude.
So you guys, you heard it here first. If you want your wife to be grateful for you, pour her some bourbon.
Apparently that's on my brain this morning.
I like it. Well, it is Tipsy Tuesday.
Oh, So
you never know.
Yeah.
So you said it made you think of your
gratitude journaling.
Your gratitude journaling.
Yes.
And you had your DMG method, which was
dreams, morning pages, gratitude.
Mm-hmm. And your tip was with the gratitude, make sure to make it something specific, not just kind of vague, this person or this thing.
So I've also read a good amount of blogs about how to gratitude journal or how to start a gratitude journal. And that's a common little tidbit of advice that people say is, to try and be more specific with what's on your mind or what you're thankful for in that moment, that day.
Yeah, that also I imagine can help with, not doing it or feeling like you're doing it just for the purpose of doing it, but actually getting something out of it, right? It's not just a checkbox, oh, I'm grateful for my wife, I'm grateful for my kids, I'm grateful for the roof over my head.
Right.
Not that those are bad things to do, but
also they're just kind of surface level, and you could say those every single day.
Right.
The same thing. So I think it's adding that level of noticing.
Intentionality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Forcing yourself to pause and like experience, because there's something to be said about like, oh, if you're just saying what you're thankful for, then it can be kind of like rote or routine. But if you're forcing yourself to like embody the moment, then you're more like, it's easier to visualize the thing that you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, when it comes to the show, What the Hell is Water?
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things, to quote you from yesterday, I think it was yesterday when you're talking about imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying how your therapist was like, why do you have imposter syndrome when you're like creating your own life and your own job? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
And so, you know, that kind of vibes a little bit with what I've been on my mind over the last week or so, which is, you know, when I find myself getting like really stressed out about the things we need to do or whatnot, and also, you know, admittedly, sometimes the Sunday night before the show,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, last week when we relaunched it, and yesterday, whenever we were going into the second week,
Mm-hmm.
having a little bit of that Sunday dread or whatever. And so it was a good reminder of like, hey, like, wait, what are you doing? Like, you're designing this thing. Like, why are you stressing yourself out? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why are you not having fun with it? Which was another thing that somebody mentioned to me last week was, you know, we've talked about it on here before. Like, you're your best self when you're confident and you're having fun and you're doing what you want to be doing and you believe in something. And
what if it was easy and fun?
Right. What if it was easy and fun? Which is a great quote. Very simple. But ask yourself that. Anytime you're working on something difficult or you have something ahead of you, ask yourself the simple question. What if it was easy and fun?
Especially if you're the one designing the thing or creating the system.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and especially if other people are going to be using it, try and think of it through that lens as well. Like, hey, how do I design this thing to make it easy and fun for other people to do? You know, which is something that I think we think of a lot with kids, right? We're like, oh, and same kind of thing with food. It's like, all right, if I want to get these kids to eat these vegetables, then I need to make it fun and easy for them to do it. Like,
ranch dressing.
yeah, ranch dressing is one way that people do it, or broccoli and Velveeta is another classic one. It's like, oh, it's a nice vector for the cheese. But also more, you know, creative ways of like, all right, well, I'm not going to show them the veggies. I'll hide it in the food or
blend up the carrots and the mac and cheese.
Right. All these different ways of making it easy and fun. But as adults, a lot of times I think we feel like we're like above those types of things, but in reality, we're not. We're still caveman brain inside, and if something's not easy and fun, it's still gonna not be so great and kind of suck. And you know, unless we're making the effort to make it not actively suck. So that was a good reminder for me last week when it was like someone was talking with me like, hey, you know, make sure you're having fun, or are you having fun, or if not, like, what are you doing? And you know, even just yesterday as we were talking about planning out some of the stuff we were going to do today, I'm like, well, today is meant to be a celebration. It is meant to be fun. And so like last night we were doing some planning and started to get a little stressed out of the things like we would do or wouldn't do. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it. We'll figure it out today. It'll be what it's going to be. But right now at 8 o'clock the night before, like, I'm going to just say it's good enough and we'll move on because at the end of the day, the reason that we're one of the reasons we're building this company and this life that is so we can have it be the way we want it to be and have it be a sustainable thing that keeps us invigorated and excited and keep going. So that's one of the things that makes me very proud of the What the Hell is Water, and the fact that we've got to 100 episodes is because, you know, there's a phrase like in show business or whatever, like you don't know what's going on behind the camera. So the amount of fun, quote unquote, times we've had and tough conversations and dread and tears and walking off sets and technical issues and all of the rough, tough negative things that come along with doing the show. are unknown largely to the audience, besides what we tell them, which we tell them more than maybe an average show. But it's a cool thing to look back and say, like, hey, we did 100 of these things. And I don't think many people would argue that 100 is not a significant number.
Yeah, who would think we would have 100 hour-long live streams before we would have hashtag tweet 100
I know,
tweets?
right? Well, technically, at some point in there, we started.
Oh, yeah, well, we definitely have more than 100 tweets, but they don't all have tweet 100 on
Right.
them.
So I was thinking maybe today that could be part of
Yeah,
our
we
daily
could do
live stream.
the tweet 100 in a day, like
Yeah.
we were going to, and then just tweet quotes from past episodes that are our favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And various tips and things that
Mhm.
are kind of going
Oh,
throughout
we
the
could
day.
do the tips from the Rustic Pear Tart live stream.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, right. We have,
Over 100 tweets right there.
is that over 100? Do you know the number that
over
got to?
160.
Did you finish that all the way through?
I think so.
Over 160 tips. That's crazy. So to give you guys an idea of what Danielle's talking about, and we'll share a link for this in a second. The Rustic Pear Tart. So we brought on a friend and Libby Corno for an episode, and we created a rustic pear tart completely from scratch. And we did it live with you guys on air, and it was essentially, if I recall correctly, flour, butter, probably some water, and pears and sugar and cinnamon, and maybe a couple other ingredients, maybe
Jam.
nutmeg in there.
Jam.
Oh, that's right.
Preserves.
And we made
whatever.
a homemade rustic pear tart, and that was the first kind of in-depth, like super tip-heavy cooking thing that we had done.
Mm-hmm.
Did we also make a drink
I think that was our
day?
first live cooking.
We also made a drink that day too.
The
The
Kentucky cream
yeah,
and
so
the
we made-
Irish cream.
So if you guys ever had Bailey's, which is
Irish
the
cream.
most popular Irish cream, an alcoholic cream drink.
Have you ever had it out of a boot?
Ever drank Bailey's out of a boot? You're gonna have to share that old Greg. You on
Greg.
YouTube, grab that one and share that. That's a classic BBC humor. Do you love me? You want to play love games with me? My downstairs mix up, mother liquor. So yes, the homemade Irish cream, and then we also made homemade Kentucky cream.
Mm-hmm. Bourbon instead
with
of
bourbon.
um,
With bourbon instead
Irish
of just
whiskey.
Irish whiskey, yeah.
Yeah.
So those were very good. And within that episode, so Libby's a private chef, and we have a cooking course, Kickstarter Kitchen. Go to kickstarterkitchen.com. So we both know our cooking stuff, and between the two of us, it was like bang, bang, tip, tip, bow, bow.
And then one of my favorite clips that we're definitely gonna have to share today. I'm not gonna do it. We'll just share it later.
Oh, okay. Any other additional info on
where
that teaser?
Where Libby expresses her dislike for how you were doing something.
I like it. So yeah, you guys heard that here first. Go check out that clip. That's a fun one. So yeah, we had a really good time doing that, and like time wise, ended up going on for a while. Maybe
Like
a couple
4 hours.
Maybe a couple hours. Yeah. But there was a lot of stuff in there, and it also showed a lot of the value that we bring with Helpful for Life, and of course that was our first one, and of course not everyone's intended to be that long. Part of what we're figuring out here is how do we find that right balance of what to include in the moment and how long something's going to be. And so that was a good kicking the tires of like, all right, a lot of good stuff in there, but we're going to have to tighten that up next time, right?
Yeah. But especially with the food stuff, at least what we've been seeing on like the food tubers we follow, people want to see like how long did that actually take you to make that. So we're willing to show that.
Right. And the beauty of the way we teach is that as we're teaching, we are telling you guys all of the small in-between things and all of the small little bonus tips. So that's why we ended up, I guess, with over 160 tips from that episode.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a fun one. Go check it out. I think we shared it, episode 58, Rustic Pear Tart. And if you're audio only, that is one that you can listen to audio only, but there's certainly visual elements that you might want to include since there is food and drink involved.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also plenty of good tips in there. And one of the ways that I don't know that we've explicitly said, but as a suggestion for you guys at home of how to consume this show, is you can start watching it on the video and then just kind of have it on in the background, especially for a show like that where it kind of is a longer one. Just have it on in the background while you're doing other things, maybe while you're walking around doing dishes, maybe while you're cooking. Of course, one of the things we'd love for you guys to do is cook along with us. You can do that with the Rustic Pear Tart. Another thing people can do that with is what, Danielle?
Learn to cook to impress a date.
Right.
Which is our 5-day cooking challenge. So we had Monday through Thursday doing like one thing a day, and then Friday, day 5, put it all together and made a like 3-course meal. So we made lemon drop martinis on Monday, and I made my queso on Tuesday. Then we did our 5-finger salad on Wednesday, which we might make into a 6-finger or 7-finger salad this week, potentially, and feature something that we got from the McKinney Farmers Market. That's delicious. And then Thursday we made salmon in a pan sauce and roasted root vegetables. And then Friday did a different protein in a pan sauce, which was ribeye in a red wine shallot pan sauce.
Yeah. So if you guys are looking to cook along with us live, so those are a couple ways you can do it. One was the Rustic Pear Tart, which is episode 58. Another one was the Learn to Cook to Impress a Date,
which you can, there's a playlist on YouTube, so you can watch the videos whenever you want to. But if you sign up at learntocooktoimpressadate.com, then you'll get our email sequence with the grocery list and the meal plan to help you go through the days and plan ahead for it.
Yeah. And for those of you who are wary about doing email listings, don't worry. We are very respectful of emails, and
we rarely email you.
Yes, it's worth pointing out that I've paid our...
Just kidding, that's going to change.
That is going to change, but historically speaking, we've not sent out a ton of emails. But in the future, as we go forward and send more and more emails, our goal with that is to allow people to unsubscribe from the parts that they don't want to be hearing about.
Yes.
And so, say, for example, we're doing a campaign on a certain topic, and you're like, you know what? I've heard that first one. I don't want to get any more like that. You could be able to unsubscribe from that one campaign without having to unsubscribe from the entire thing. Correct. So when you sign up for something like Learn to Cook to Impress a Date, like you're going to get things about Learn to Cook to Impress a Date. And then after that, you may end up getting something else like, hey, now that you've done that, here are some other things you can do. But at any point, if it's like, hey, this isn't what I want, you can always unsubscribe. And of course, just email us. We are real people. Hi, my name is Reed Garcia. I am a human, I think. My dad says he's an alien all the time, so... maybe I am too. I don't know. How would you know that? I'm not really sure, unless they told you.
Well, we're all descendants from aliens from different starseed planets.
Nice.
Basically, there you go.
I'm not gonna dignify that with a response because I don't even know where to start with that. But it also made me think of conspiracies and conspiracy theories, which reminded me of a show we've been watching recently, which I'm actually enjoying.
Yeah,
I think is pretty funny, and it's called The Pentaveret.
The Pentaveret must never be exposed.
The Pentaveret must never be exposed. And it is a show created by Mike Myers. For those of you who don't recognize his name, he's a huge...
Austin Powers.
A huge name in comedy, yeah. Austin Powers, Shrek. Of course, I'm going to blank on some other ones, but he's...
Thanks. Good job repeating mine, though.
I know, right? Appreciate it. I just need to say them louder. Austin Powers, Shrek, Austin Powers 2, Austin Powers 3. But he
The
is...
Spy Who Shagged Me.
Yeah.
Is that the first one? Whoops.
But yeah, he's got a great sense of humor, and on this series he collaborates and brings on some other big names in comedy as well. So starting at the beginning is Keegan-Michael Key of Key and Peele, if you have heard of that.
And they make like a Key and Peele joke somewhere in there. It's really well done.
It's the right amount of meta, and it feels a little bit like a Mike Myers movie. It also has a little bit of feel of kind of Monty Python type stuff at sometimes, I feel like. And also the intros are funny.
Yes.
And they're different every time. So
Yeah.
and yeah, they're the right amount of meta. So
Don't press the skip intro button.
so encourage you guys to check that one out if you just need a little laugh or giggle or smile.
Yeah. How'd we get on there?
Because it's not important. We got there.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about cooking along with us, the Learn to Cook to Impress a Date challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Another time you can cook along with us is within the Kickstart Your Kitchen course. So, and Kickstart Your Kitchen, for those who aren't aware, it's broken into over 190 modules. Most of them are less than 5 minutes each, so that way you can watch them wherever you're at, when you're sitting on the toilet, when you're ignoring your mother-in-law, whatever time feels right to you. You can listen to those things. And by the way, you can also listen at faster speeds, and you can jump around, and you can find whatever it is that you want to find. But a big thing we teach in that is it's all about the techniques and the methodology and not the recipes, which we'll tell you guys a little bit more about later today when we talk a little bit about our grocery shopping process and when we cook for you guys sometime later today. We're thinking about doing for lunch. You wanted to do the chicken still?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you tell people for lunch what we're going to do?
Yeah. So on Sunday, got a taste for Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets, which always happens on a Sunday. And then I realized, oh, well, we have the stuff to make. We have Joshua Weissman's cookbook where he has chicken nuggets in there. And then he also has a video on YouTube, Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets, but better. So I want to do Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets, but better, even better. Because we don't have all the ingredients on hand that Joshua Weissman uses. But I think it'll be even better with what we... I'm going to combine that recipe with this other recipe that I made before for fried chicken, where it's like the best fried chicken paprika recipe from like recipe 30, I think. And then we've made that fried chicken before, thought it tasted similar to Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich patties. So combine those two recipes to fill in the gaps for what we don't have for the Joshua Weissman with that, and then make chicken nuggets and fried Yukon Gold potatoes for lunch.
Yeah. And I mean, who doesn't like fried potatoes? I mean, let's be real. And when it comes to the reason we brought that up is because the way that we cook now, which we've realized over the last few weeks is probably one of our better marketing angles, is just talking about how we cook and how, we had a friend tell us the other day, like, I'm here basically every day, and I couldn't tell you the last time I had the same thing. And so I took that as very much a compliment, because we always are cooking all sorts of different food, and it ranges all sorts of cuisines. And we are looking to explore a little bit more, but we've gotten into ethnic cuisines already. We've done some Asian, we've done some Indian. Of course, we do plenty of Mexican and Latin American type foods. We've dabbled into some European things as well, but one of our goals with the course, and also just with the way we like to cook, is know all of the techniques, so then you can basically make whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And you can look up a recipe or a couple of recipes, bless you, and then you can know how to make the thing because you now know all the techniques and methodology behind it. So within Kickstart Your Kitchen, you can learn about those techniques through these small digestible chunks, but there's also, I think, 2 or 3 cook with me sections in there where it's a longer video where we go through the entire meal from beginning to end. So that way, if you want to literally cook with us, you can. So anyways, that was our nice long tangent on cooking.
I was like, how did we get there? Gratitude? What were we supposed to be talking about? Gratitude and celebration.
Yeah, so so if we jump back.
Okay, so yeah, we're celebrating all of the episodes in which you can cook with us.
There you go.
Is that how we got there?
I think there was maybe another one where we did coffee stuff too. Let's see. Will you look that one up? See if you can find that.
Did that one ever make it out of the idea vault?
I don't know if that ever made it out of the idea vault because we definitely. I think we've talked about the sweet cream that we made and the whipped cream. I feel like we might have done that at some point, but we'll look behind the scenes and see if we can find that. But while we're looking for that, gratitude specific to what the hell is water. If you had to think of something specific to be grateful for with what the hell is water, what does anything come to mind for you?
I feel like I'm grateful for the structure it's provided and like the ability to by 8:30 in the morning feel like, oh, we've already created something, and then now we've created 100 somethings by like 100 different mornings. Like that's, I think, just a sense of tangible, visible progress, and also like the very practical application of like learning how to live stream by going live, and yeah, learning how to be live streamers by being live streaming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I guess just grateful for the purposes it has served in our creation process.
Yeah. I would agree with that wholeheartedly, because, you know, one of the reasons for creating the show, sure, there is the selfless aspect of we wanted to create some content. We wanted to provide value for people. But also part of it was because I realized, like, hey, Reed, you're not publishing stuff. You are getting to the point where you try and over perfect the things. And so I was like, and combining that with the, as we've heard many times on this show, the trouble I have oftentimes getting up in the morning and getting started. And then also, of course, some of the mental struggles of, you know, wondering if we're doing the right thing and all of that kind of stuff, and the existential dread, you know, the usual. And so the show, I think, provided a great vehicle for us to, it's like, all right, it's going to force us to get up. It's going to force us to do the live stream. It's going to force us to learn all the things that we need to know. And before we started the live stream, we had done one live stream before, which is CGK Cooks, which is a community garden kitchen. You can find that link, communitygardenkitchen.org/CGK-cooks, I believe is what it is, Kenny. And
you
that
can
was,
still buy that to support their
you can still buy that.
Stock the pantry.
So that was last March, I believe. And what it was a local nonprofit here in McKinney that is looking to end food insecurity by providing meals for people in need. It's in the menu bar as well. Providing meals for people in need, no questions asked, no paperwork required. There's a building less than a mile from here where you can go, and if you want to just get like a coffee and a dessert, you can, or if you want to get an entire meal, you can, but you can sit down. There's a menu. It's just like a restaurant, and there's communal tables. So if you want to, I can't remember if it's communal tables or not, but there's also separate tables where if you like, you just want to have like your family by yourself, like, and just go get a meal and feel like you're at a restaurant without having to pay. So I think it's a really cool nonprofit and is looking to end food insecurity in our county. And for those who aren't aware, we're in Collin County, Texas, which is North Dallas. And we are in the city of McKinney. So anyways, for that, one of the ways we were helping to raise money was to put on what we called CGK Cooks, which is where we grabbed a chef. Her name was Jenny Brightman, and she walked us through how to make a delicious meal. Mediterranean meal. It was like chicken kebabs and I'm blanking on some of the other things. It's been a while. Like there's like a tomato
chutney and like a rice dish of some sort, or maybe no, it was couscous, I think, possibly. And
yeah, Israeli couscous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the video, on the link that we posted in chat, I have a little voiceover there where we talk about the thing, and we've got a ghost floof. Is that what's up, man, or lady, or otherwise, a ghostly being? I think I remember Ghost Floof from last week on Twitch. So good to see you again. Thanks for coming back. And yes, Texas is an interesting mix of country and city. People, it's easy to forget, like even where we live, which is kind of in the heart of suburbia, within a 10-minute drive, you know, actually even where my sister's apartment is, which is still very much in the middle of the city, there's cows and a big giant field and home on the range kind of feels. And even downtown McKinney, you're going to see some cowboy hats and some big buckles and some cowboy shoes. But also there's plenty of people who don't look like they belong anywhere near the country as well. So yeah, welcome back, Ghost Floof.
I think it's time for some more Red Dead.
Yes, Ghost Floof. Yeah, we need to get some Red Dead back out of Danielle.
Yeah.
Show
Well,
some of
Twitch
that Texas
Tuesday.
love. Twitch Tuesday.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, so that's one of the other things we have on the tentative schedule for today is playing some video games with you guys. So Rocket League is probably what I would be playing. Maybe
And
some
I'll elbow you
Minecraft.
off
Who
to
knows?
get my Red Dead in.
And then Danielle's going to play some Red Dead Redemption too. So we'll see. Today is meant to be a day of fun and celebration, and we want to hang out with you guys as much as possible, and we want to help you guys out in whatever way possible. So Ghost Floof, since you're here, if there's any question you have about something you're trying to accomplish in your life or some problem that you're struggling with, feel free to ask us in the chat, and we will gladly answer that for you. And regardless of whether or not you want to answer that, we also would love to know what video games you like to play, if any. So please go ahead and ask that in the chat. So gratitude about the show. We were talking about the structure, so that was really nice. And also, for me, one thing I'm grateful for is having something that I stuck with and created over a long period of time. And of course, Kickstart Your Kitchen has that vibe too. But I don't know, the interesting thing about going live is in some ways it's a larger commitment because it's live and there's no hiding behind anything. And, maybe people realize, but how much of the show is improv, essentially? How much is just kind of off the top of our heads? And
Like all of it?
and yes, up to this point has been largely all of it. And as we move forward and we start to do some more, I don't know, intentional and deeper discussions, that it may change a little bit, but there's always going to be plenty of improv going on in the shows, and that's one thing that is kind of fun about the 100 episodes is, hey, we've done this now and we spent a long time doing it, and it feels good to look back and say, hey, I made 100 of a thing. I don't think I've ever made 100 of a thing before. So that's pretty cool. So Ghost Floof wants to know why we're called, or why we ask what the hell is water. So that's a fun one. Why don't you take that one, Danielle?
Okay. So it's we named the show after this parable that we heard about around the time that we were starting the show in the fall. And there's these two fishes swimming in the ocean or some body of water. And they're swimming along, and then another fish comes from the other direction and asks the two fishes, fish, plural, whatever, how's the water today? And then the one fish looks at the other fish and they're like, what the hell is water? Because that fish was like aware that what they're swimming in is water, but these two fish, like, they'd never been around other fishes who called it water, didn't know it was called water. So basically on the show, we want to talk about a lot of the topics that we like affect us in our everyday life, like society or limiting beliefs or, any number of things that affect us, but we don't talk about all the time. So, but if we become aware of things, then we can address them and use what we learn to make our lives a little better every day by and that's why I like journaling too. Getting introspective with intentional life reflection. And my attention was just pulled to a big thing of bourbon.
Well, thank you for that answer.
Inputs around us that we may not be aware of.
Yes.
Yes, as our producer said, the inputs around us that we may not be aware of. Yeah, and I don't know if you said it this way or not, but why things are the way they are. I started out as an electrical engineer, and even before that, I was always curious about how things work and why they work, especially when it came to technology and things like that. And then I went to school and studied electrical engineering, got big into computers, into technology, and I did that for a few years. And then after doing that, I got a lot more curious as to why people do the things the way they do, and dove a lot more into history and sociology and economics and philosophy and all these types of things as to why people do the things the way they do, and why society is the way it is, and even things like why systems are the way they are, why the police are the way they are, why the government is the way they are, things like that. And so as I started to explore that more and more and use that analytical part of my brain to look at these things, and reading tons of books and podcasts and learning from a ton of people online, wanted to help share some of that knowledge and engage with people out there and learn the things that they know. And one of the big things that we've learned is in online education is like, hey, an expert, yeah, there are people who are way big experts in their fields who know more than everybody else or whatnot, but also you are an expert if you know a little bit more than the person that you're teaching.
And sometimes you're better, you're the best one to teach someone who's just one step behind you because you just went through that step. And so it's fresh on your mind, like exactly what you did to grow and get to that next step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the other things we want to do, both with What the Hell is Water and Helpful for Life, is help expose people to things they hadn't been exposed to before. Maybe because they just had never thought about it, or maybe because they tried one of the things but didn't think to try something else. So a common example I give is somebody who tries a curry dish and then they say, oh, I don't like curry, or I don't like Indian food. And it's like, no, that's just one type of food from a giant continent, which has all sorts of variety of food. So that's another thing that we would like to do. Yes. Yeah. So glad to hear that you are into people as well, and also that you like liquor. So we're glad to hear both of those things. And yes, but trying to become a social worker or a therapist is a great thing to do. So
yep.
I'm glad to work for that. So gratitude, that's one thing we were grateful for, was the structure and the ability to be doing something for a long time. Another thing that I wanted to make sure that we talked about today was celebration. Mm-hmm. So celebration is something that, is very important, and it, I don't have studies in front of me, but I've heard and read about how impactful they can be and how much they can impact your mood and your well-being and all these types of things. And one of the things is that a lot of people don't think to celebrate the smaller things. Like they only wait and celebrate the huge things. And then even some people don't celebrate those big things, whether it's for example, like a big milestone moment in your life, whether that's a graduation or getting a job or retiring or, getting married or buying a house or whatever the big accomplishment may be. Maybe there's some big project that you're working on. Maybe you got to 100 episodes of your show, whatever it may be, making sure to celebrate for sure the big moments, but also the small moments. And that's something that has been a good lesson for us and is good fuel to help keep us going as we're trying new things, as we're creating new things, especially when a lot of the things are so fraught with failure, as we were kind of talking about here. That makes it that much more important to help give yourself a positive lens on, hey, all of the things that I did and all of the things that I learned from that thing, even if the wasn't deemed as a quote unquote success, that is progress, and that's worth celebrating. I have another friend who is preparing for something very big where they need to get all these certifications, and it's like a 4-part thing. And, I think they're down through 2 of the 4. And I'm like, hey, after you did the 1, I don't care if that was easy. It was not what you, you didn't have to worry about it at all. Celebrate that you did that. That's awesome. Use that positive energy, help feel good about it, take a little time, relax, and tell people what you did and be proud of it. And then use that and ride that wave to go on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And it's very worth celebrating the small things. And so one tip for you guys at home is to keep a running list of all the things that you've done. This could be as simple as a piece of paper, or it could be a Google Sheet or an Excel document where you just write out and, hey, here's an accomplishment that I had. You know what? Today is the first time where I successfully tied my shoes. Whatever that accomplishment may be for you. Mm-hmm. You have any accomplishments recently that popped to your head?
Well, I was just thinking we could share a Notion template. You could use Notion to track your accomplishments.
What's that?
Notion is a freemium. I guess that's what you could call it. You can start for free, and then if you want to upgrade, you can. It's a software for project management, productivity, project tracking, databases. I'm not doing a great job at describing this.
Yeah.
Just listing out features, basically.
So I'll give the quick introduction on Notion. So Notion, which you can find at notion.so, is their website. We can share a link in the chat for that one. But basically what Notion is it's kind of combining your Excel document, your Word document, and some database stuff all into one. And so what you can do, for example, we have a Notion database of all of our episodes. So we have 100 episodes, and maybe we'll do a behind the scenes on the Notion episode, or our Notion database later today. That's one of the things I'd listed out as a possible idea. Floof is giving you a hard time.
Oh.
And what it is so we would have a page for episode 100, for example, and then within that page, just like a Word document, we can have whatever notes we want. We can also have checklists and things like that, but we can also link it to anything else that is within our databases. And so right now our producer's over there, he's pressing buttons as we're going through, and every time I say something funny, he presses a button and he says, "This
So
is."
he didn't press it then.
Thanks, Danielle. He presses a button and then it takes a clip of that time and it goes within our database system to say, hey, here's a clip of a funny moment from that show. So then we have a separate database that shows all the clips that we have, and then we can publish those out to all of our social media. So there is a couple, just a little tidbit of what Notion is. So the reason that we brought that up was
because you can use Notion to keep track of your accomplishments, or
Right.
your small wins. Sometimes I used to have a Word document when I was at my corporate job where I called it keepers, and like anytime someone would give me a compliment in an email or over the company internal messaging system, like copy and paste it in there and like go back and read over it, kind of like personal testimonials you're keeping track of, or so that was why Notion is a place you could use to digitally keep track of your wins and accomplishments instead of just your old-fashioned piece of paper.
Yeah, and that way you can tie it to other things if you want, and you have it. So one of our goals is to have that be part of our dashboard that we look at every week, so we can say, hey, what kind of things went well for us this week? So that way, again, we're trying to stay positive and keep in that positive mindset.
And some of the things that are on there, or like for us that we've celebrated, was like, the first time we had a guest on the show, the first time we had a musical guest, the first time we had 4 people on screen, or the first time we did the cooking stream from the kitchen.
The first scheduled social media post you did when we joined Reddit. The first time you streamed live on Twitch. The first gaming stream we ever did on Twitch. So these are all some examples of things that we've tracked as accomplishments. And admittedly, accomplishments are something that we want to do a better job of tracking ourselves, so that we're doing it every week.
Since we're looking at accomplishments and milestones, another thing we have here, since we're on episode 100, is episode 50 was on December 8th. And that's whenever we tracked that to see. That was a nice little milestone we got.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So our 50th episode, or episode 50 rather, was on December 8th. So that was...
Well, that's cool. Like half of the season was before Christmas.
Right.
Just like a real show.
And then also for around that same time, I believe episode 50 was when we made the shift to actually publishing thumbnails and titles and maybe descriptions before the actual show, because we used to just go live with
episode 30.
Yeah, and if you go and look at our YouTube videos today, you'll see they all still are labeled just episode 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth.
It's on the short list.
Yeah, but the nice thing about doing it for 50 and 50 on was from then on, we've made it part of our checklist and our routine to every time before we go live, we're going to share the title, we're going to share a description and a thumbnail, and recognizing that all those things may change in the future. But there's so much value in doing the thing now and doing it in those small chunks versus the more daunting thing, which is one of the reasons why we hadn't done the best job of going back and doing it, is, hey, now we have these 50 episodes where we need to process and we need to add these things to it. And it's a little bit more of a psychological burden than doing one every morning, right?
Well, and also I would imagine as like a creator, going back and looking at the videos that we made longer ago, you can probably notice more of the things that are wrong or that we would do differently or that we have changed to do differently and improve upon, I would imagine. So like it's less motivating to want to go back and watch like, oh, like that was our 20th video. Like we've learned so much since then. And now I would do all these things differently. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you do, especially when you get into online content and people publishing videos and things like that. It's a pretty classic thing. Like, oh, go back and look at my first video, and you'll see how cringeworthy it was and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. The thing about us is before we even published anything on YouTube, we had already made over 190 videos for our cooking course. And so a lot of the production type elements we already had in place before we even started going live, before we started publishing things on YouTube. So I don't think we have quite as much of a cringeworthiness at the beginning, but I also don't know because I have not watched, I don't think, a single one of our episodes back. It's also a little weird for me to watch myself. That's something that I'm still getting used to, and I know
I
we'll
love
probably
watching myself.
I know it'll probably just get weirder as more people see it, but that's a weird thing too when you're having, for example, a month or two ago we had some people here at our apartment and they're like, oh, well, let me see some of your things or whatever, and we pulled up like a couple of our Kickstarter Kitchen sales videos, which we'll link the playlist to in the chat. The Kickstarter Kitchen sales videos is one of those videos we were watching, and I was just kind of watching over the shoulder as they were watching, and it's cool to like hear them laughing at the things that we did. And somebody told us a couple weeks ago, they're like, hey, after watching one of those videos, like I just couldn't not buy the course. Like I went and bought it right then, and I was like,
oh my gosh, a sales video doing what the sales video is supposed to do? Crazy.
Yeah, it was.
That's an accomplishment.
It was an accomplishment, and it was pretty great feeling because we put a lot of work and thought and time and effort into those things. And one of the things that we did, both with our website, kickstarterkitchen.com, and with those videos, is based on the cooking level that you're at, based on what your experience is, we customized the messaging to tell you what you will get out of the course. So, the most inexperienced we called. I know the most experienced we called so confused,
okay,
confident.
Confident.
That's
boss.
what it was. So from least experienced to most experienced, we called it confused. Well, this is the other side. So confused, okay, confident, and boss. And for each of those, we said, hey, for confused, it's like you maybe have never cooked a thing in your life, but that is here is what this course will do for you, and here's how it will help you learn. And all the way to the end where it's boss, like, hey, you may have been cooking for decades, but you're still going to get stuff out of this course because of the way it was made, because of the way it's science and data backed, and because of how you can track it, and because of the fact that we teach so much about techniques and methods and not recipes. And of course, we also provide frameworks and things like that. I'm very confident that with Kickstarter Kitchen, we can help people achieve most of their cooking goals. So again, please let us know what you're trying to achieve in the kitchen, and through Kickstarter Kitchen and some guidance from us, we'll help you guys accomplish that. So let's see, what is the one thing that we are most appreciative of, want to celebrate the most over the past year, if we can only choose one thing? That's a great question from Ghost Floof.
Oh man,
I'm gonna have to fix this so it's more readable, but think about that. That's a great question. One thing, Danielle, what pops through your head?
I think it's just getting to create things with people that I care about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer, I would say. I approve. And I think that's also, one of the things that has been fun for me is whenever we tell people what we're doing, the show is something that a lot of people get excited for because like, oh, that's kind of cool. And of course, a lot of the people that we engage with and talk to, like, they're interesting people. And I'm like, hey, I would love to use that as a way to tell your story and to interview you or show off the cool thing that you're doing. And so we have some pretty interesting guests that are on our list of people that we're going to have on at some point. And just to tease some of the ones that are kind of on the top of my head from the last few weeks. So one person who is somebody who did moonshining growing up. They said that they do it so well that they could set up the still and get everything going blindfolded. And he was dead serious about that. There's another lady who creates art, drawing with her boobs, her breasts, and it all raised money for breast cancer awareness and things like that. So I thought that's a fun little thing. Let's see. And there's a guy who has a production company here that is all about, I forget the correct terminology, so forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but basically people who use sign language. He has a production company to help them create videos and things, and maybe movies and stuff like that. May or may not be related to dance. I can't remember. But one of the things that was popping in my head is the lady who does the interpretive signing for an Eminem performance. I think it might have been Rap God. I can't remember, but she's like really into it, and she's like doing all the choreography and stuff. Like you're like, oh yeah, she's really
basically like a backup dancer and adding on the ASL.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm blanking on exactly what the thing is that guy's company is, but it's something along those lines, to the point where I was like, hey, if you haven't seen this, you should check that out. And another thing that I'm grateful for or excited for doing more of is doing our tiny couch concerts. I'm really looking forward to plugging in some more with some small local musicians and things like that, and having a little concert inside of our house. I'm really excited for that. I really like live music. It's a kind of a homage to NPR's Tiny Desk concerts, which you can find on YouTube. If you haven't seen that, highly recommend it. It's like literally at a dude's office, and it's just like kind of raw and natural. And so we want to kind of replicate some of that here in our apartment. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. We actually did one episode of that in our first week that we did something on the Friday of that. We'll share a link for that one in the chat as well. So let me look at the question to see one more time. What one thing you're most appreciative of, want to celebrate the most over the past year if I could only choose one thing?
You're not good at choosing one thing.
I'm not good at choosing one thing. I'm not good at choosing favorites, but I think it's probably just having the ability to be in the situation that we're in, to where, like, yes, we are starting to feel a little bit of the financial pressure as our resources dwindle down over the years, but being able to have had the time to learn and grow and develop over these last few years, both in like my skills and, the things that we've been able to do, and, going from being an electrical engineer to someone who's essentially running a media company and can produce live and produce videos. And I feel very confident now that between us, the team that we have, and especially if you extend that to some of our friends and other people who want to help us succeed, like, we can produce pretty much about anything. And I feel very confident saying that. And so now the exciting thing is, now that we've had that time and space to learn and to develop and to grow, and oh, by the way, as we're doing that whole thing, we're documenting along the way, which is another reason why it's a little slower than some people might think, is because as we're going on and doing the things, we're taking good amounts of notes, so that way, as we expand, as we grow, when we bring new people on, we can say, all right, here, go do this thing. Here is the rough outline of how it goes. So that way you're not starting completely from scratch every time. So doing a lot of thinking about how we can best do that. But yeah, so makes me excited for whatever may come next, because we can basically create and do whatever we want. And that's all because of having the ability and the flexibility to not have to do things a certain way or be responsible to a certain party or whatnot, whether that be investors or whatnot. And so, yeah, so I think that's the thing I'm probably most grateful for, is just the ability for us to have that flexibility, to have that creative time, for us to be able to do fun things like go to a trip to Denver and try and shoot a documentary in a day, and start, the one day before an event happening, calling the person and saying, hey, do you have anyone doing videography for this event? And they say no. Say, okay, cool, compass some tickets and we'll shoot you some video and we'll go from there. Like being able to do things like that are really cool. And I said in the description, like, one of the things that about, never thought, it was never in our plans to make this show, until it was. It wasn't like a long-term plan or goal or anything like that. But now that I have this show, and now that we have this show and we're making this, it's like we could do so many different things with it. We could bring so many different people onto it. And I don't know. I just to iterate, one of the points of the show and the company that I've been saying recently is to get people to think, get people to feel, get people to create, and get people to be plugged in and involved with some sort of community. So wanted to make sure to mention that at some point today. All right, let's see, catching up on the comments here. Can I come by and tease them out as well? Nice. All right, so we talked about gratitude. We talked about celebration. Let's see. Yes, Ghost Floof, thank you so much for the thanks and recognizing the honest answers. We appreciate it, and it's really, really great to engage with you. And we hope that you're having a great day, and that the rest of your day will be solid as well. Thank you for coming back, and please show up anytime. We enjoy chatting with you. So
turn up on a Tuesday.
Turn up on a Tuesday. So yeah, cheers to that. Here's to that. Coffee is better with whiskey, I will say. So before we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we want to do today. Now, we will say that as we started to outline things yesterday and got a little bit stressed out, we decided, you know what, we'll let tomorrow be a little bit more flowy, and we'll see how things go. So after this, we shut off here. We're gonna go talk, and we'll put a couple of times and events so that way people have some anchors if they want to make sure to attend a certain part, or check out a certain part after it's done.
Or just check back on your lunch break, and probably around lunch you'll see us doing the Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets.
Right. So yeah. So one thing, in case you aren't aware, you can go to the website h4l.live instead
That's
of
H
.com.
number 4 L.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
There you go.
Instead of a .com, it's a .live. And on that website, anytime we are live, you can see us embedded on that page. And, we might update our schedule on there too. No promises, but maybe. So one of the things we're going to do for sure is we're going to cook Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets from home, including making Chick-fil-A sauce.
Which we got to, because the chicken's going bad. So that has to happen today.
That has to happen. Also, I think in the early evening time, maybe around 6:30 p.m. Central Time, I think we're going to do a happy hour. Well, I know you're busy, but
okay.
I may be hosting a happy hour without you. Or maybe we'll do it before, who knows? Sometime I don't know. See, we'll figure it out. Like I said, loosey-goosey. Sometime in the evening time, we'll do some sort of happy hour. And then I believe probably sometime in the nighttime, evening time is when the video games will come out. I think in the evening time happy hour will also be a time to kind of chat and answer people's questions and things like that. So one of the things we are also doing throughout the day is something called an AMA, which is Ask Me Anything. So shortly after we do things here, we're going to go onto Reddit and we're going to announce our AMA, so we can have people submit whatever questions they want, to ask us any questions about us or our business or what we're building or the show. I'm still
entrepreneurship.
We're still going to spitball what our little tagline is or our title is to get people interested. But one of the ones I had was we did 100 episodes of a live video talk show before ever having 100 views on any one episode. So some about that and talking about like why do we keep doing it? Why do we keep going? And also another one is, hey, we created 100 episodes of a podcast before even being on a podcast host. So people can't even download us on Spotify or iTunes or anything of that like that nature yet. So I don't know, just talking a little bit more about how we're failing forward and how we're trying to create stuff and help things, but also literally any question that people want to ask us about ways we can help improve their lives. Having spent the last 5 years of my life focused on figuring out how to live life better and why we do things the way we do, and how we can implement things to help live better lives and help be better to each other, and have better relationships and so many other things. One of the key values I want to provide is any question you have. As I phrased it to our buddy Ghost Floof earlier. What is one thing that you are trying to do? One thing you're striving to do in your life, or what is one thing that you're currently struggling with? Or maybe there's someone in your life you think they could use a little 2 cents on, and we would love to help you guys out on any of that. We also recognize that now is about to be, and is already for some people, graduation, whether that's high school or college graduation. So I think we'll have some conversations around things for people who are graduating, and we'll see what else comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that may happen is I really like playing the sport disc golf. So it's possible we may go out onto the disc golf course and introduce people to the sport who haven't seen it before, and give a couple of basic instructions, maybe have just kind of a fun commentated round where we're goofy. Maybe we have some tips to help people get better. I don't know. We'll see. But the bottom line is today is about celebration, about gratitude, and about giving back to you guys as much as possible and helping to empty out as much knowledge as we can out of this head and into the world. So before things become highly produced videos in the future, maybe we can just help you guys before that. So any other thoughts or comments about the day today?
Nope.
Cool. Well, with that, I think we may go ahead and our challenge for today. That's a good question. What should we have as a challenge?
Come watch something later.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Come celebrate with us.
Or we can use Flu's prompt. What's the one thing last year you want to celebrate?
Yeah. That is a good one. So we'll make it a 2-tiered challenge. One from the shellfish challenge, not the shellfish. The shellfish challenge from Helpful for Life's perspective is, hey, come join us a little later today and jump into one of our other events, or we'll post the link to our AMA so you guys can submit questions on there and submit question that you have, and maybe we can help make your life a little bit better today. So that's one aspect of the challenge. And the other aspect of the challenge is to reflect on something within this last year that is either worth celebrating or that you're extremely grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be, why not both? Yeah. And if you come up with something, please tweet it at us or post it on any of the social media and tag us at Helpful for Life. On most of them, what are our socials?
Twitter and Instagram is Helpful for Life.
With the number 4.
Mm-hmm. And then on Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, it's spelled out Helpful for Life.
FOR.
Yep.
So, yeah, please tag us on anything on social, and whether it's a question that you want us to answer or something you want to celebrate or something that you're grateful for. So there are our challenges for today. So thank everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you guys later today. And even if you can't make it later today, check out some of that stuff in post, because everything, or at least most everything that we do today, will be viewable at a later time. So with that, have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.